What is up, YouTube? This is your host, Ranee B, here spilling that homicidal tea. Today's blend is, frankly put, vindictive bitch blend. As always, we ask please like and subscribe, and definitely come back around if you like good content, because that's all we offer here, fam. Now that that's all out of the way, let's go ahead and get into it. The case of Devon Guzman. When Devon was younger, she seemed, like any normal teen. She and her friends enjoyed going to dinner and to the mall and hanging out and people watching, all that kind of stuff. She was energetic, beautiful, vivacious, all that stuff, and she was just full of life. When she told her parents she was bisexual, no one blinked an eye. They were very understanding and non-judgmental. They were awesome parents. Curie Renner and Michelle Hetzel were two of Devon's love interests that she would go into on again and off again relationships, just back and forth. In the summer of 2000, though, Devon and Curie shared a room at the Mineral Springs Hotel. According to Devon's father, Rick, the two had a turbulent and even hostile relationship, and it left a lot of people wondering, why did they even stay together? It was so stressful, but completely polar opposite was her relationship with Michelle Hetzel. Now, they got along beautifully. However, there was a problem, and isn't there always? Michelle was married, and she was married to a man named Brandon Bloss. Now, that did not deter Devon, though she always referred to Michelle as her true love. In the early morning hours of June 15th, 2000, Devon had stormed out of their hotel room after a particularly heated argument between her and Curie. Curie didn't follow her, just thinking that she needed to cool off. And there's different reports about this too. Some say that they had gone over to Michelle's, and then Michelle told her to leave because she didn't like Curie, so they had to bring Curie home, and then they had a fight. Regardless, fact of the matter is that they had a blowout fight at some point at around 11 p.m. So, it's just basically Curie didn't follow her, thinking that she was just going to, let off some steam or whatnot. So, unfazed, Curie went to sleep, fully expecting Devon to have returned so that they could once again go through their makeup-breakup part of their relationship. But when the sun came up, there was no sign of Devon. So Curie called Michelle, because apparently they knew about each other. Whatever, I ain't going to judge. But anyway, Curie called Michelle and said, hey, have you seen her? Did she leave? And she said, yeah, she left here at 1 o'clock. Something like that. So they said, let's go look for her, because they were afraid that maybe she, who knows, went out and got drunk, who knows, slept in her car or something like that. Michelle and Curie located Devon's automobile near National Canal Museum in Easton, Pennsylvania. When they approached the vehicle, it was quite obvious that Devon was in need of medical help. Devon was in the back seat, covered up by her jacket, and there was blood that could be seen on her head. She would not respond to them, so they immediately called police, and when the investigators arrived on the scene, they could instantly tell that it was a crime scene, not just a scene of a possible medic needed. And it was also a bad crime scene. It had been staged pretty bad. And Devon had been killed somewhere else. See, her throat had been sliced all the way across. And she had a knife in her hand, but there was no blood on it. Also, at the time of processing this scene, technicians found a syringe in the waistline of Devon's pants. It was later found during the talk screen that Devon did not have any narcotics in her system. So that was kind of, what? Devon's hands, they were also covered with defensive wounds, and she had mud and grass all over her. Investigators surmised that it was clear that Devon had been killed somewhere else and placed in her car and driven to the second crime scene. Investigators also noted that Devon was probably aware of her attacker, since they were able to get so close to her and inflict those wounds on her neck like they had. Now, to add to the known killer hypothesis, Devon's body was covered with her jacket, like the killer couldn't bear to see her after what they'd done to her. Well, as usual, the interrogation starts with the inner circle of people known to the victim, starting with Devon's girlfriend, Curie Renner. During her 4-hour interrogation, Curie stated that she and Devon had gotten into a heated fight, and it was pretty volatile. Even a customer at the bar that was underneath their apartment came up to check things out to make sure everything was okay. Damn, girls. That argument must have been pretty loud to hear in a pub. Geez, girls. But, girls can be girls. Anyway, a search warrant was issued for, in light of Curie's, confessing to having had a verbally violent fight with the victim. So the apartment was ripped apart and dug through by a forensic team. While checking the restroom in the apartment, the forensic investigators saw a small amount of blood. Now, Curie had told them that Devon had cut herself a while back, and the shower also had illuminated once they put some of the luminol in there, and there was a vehicle mat in there as well. Weird. But Curie cleared that up, saying that they had just gone camping. She told police that Devon and Curie had gone camping and whatnot, and they'd spilled food all over the mat. And after forensics tests came back, and they saw the red stains on the mat and ran tests on them, they were just messy girls. Apparently, it was food, not blood. No big deal. That luminol test I told you about, I mean, it did show blood, but the quantity of blood that was found, it just wasn't enough to match the neck wound that Devon had. Tests came back and showed that it was more than likely menstrual blood in that shower. So Curie wasn't ruled out completely, but police were satisfied enough with Curie that they were looking on to other people such as Michelle. Now, by all appearances, Michelle Hetzel, oh my goodness, she was a happily married woman at the time of Devon's death. Now, when she was in the foster care system, she met her husband, Brandon, and Michelle had been dating Devon on the side, which Brandon did not like. See, they all knew each other from high school. Now, there was a lot of tension between Devon and Brandon, so they just stayed away from each other for the most part. But in the weeks leading up to Devon's murder, Michelle and Devon had taken a vacation to the British Virgin Islands together, and both of the women exchanged wedding bands as a symbol of their new commitment to each other and promised to leave their partners once they got back home. So when Michelle got home, a huge fight broke out with Brandon because he had found out that Michelle had run up that credit card of his to the tune of $7,000. Holy cow. Motive much? But anyway, a witness came forward and reported that they saw Devon Guzman and Michelle at Brandon's residence around 12 a.m. on that night that she went missing. Michelle, Devon, and Brandon were all yelling at each other outside, according to that same witness. But Devon was soon let inside of the home, and that was interesting because the medical examiner put Devon's time of death around 12 to 12:30. That was it. Ding, ding, ding. The probable cause. Get a search warrant for the home of Brandon and Michelle. Well, since Devon's body had grass and mud marks on it, police were actually particularly interested in the backyard of Michelle and Brandon. So those policemen, they really wanted to get to that backyard, investigate it for signs of foul play, and boy, did they get it. Fluorescein, a chemical related to luminol, was sprayed in the home's garden by police. Now, a pool cover and a nozzle on a gardening hose. Boom, blood detected. Holla! But what a bummer is that the fact that the investigators were unable to examine the blood since the quantity on there was so little. There were no enucleated cells, which is where the DNA comes from, and there were no red blood cells present. Boo! But wait, get this! Inside the house, these people, I swear to God, they discovered a syringe cap that matched the one that was in Devon's waistband. It was found in the pocket of Michelle's pants. And like I said, it was the same cap that fit the syringe that was found on Devon's body at the second crime scene. Like, why? I mean, why would you keep that? Why? Crime scene and homicide investigation is a marathon, not a sprint. So the investigative team decided to let Brandon and Michelle simmer, but began a 24-hour surveillance on their home. When detectives noticed Brandon taking out the garbage one night, they swooped in. Once that trash hits the curb, it's public property. And investigators discovered a used Telfa pad, which is routinely used on open wounds. Now, this pad had a mouth-like shape on it, as well as like bite marks on the pad itself. Now, scientists used an alternate light source to analyze the pad, and a significant bite print emerged under one of the differing light sources. Now, this gave them legal consent to issue a search warrant for marks on Brandon's body. They did an external examination on Brandon's body, and they wanted to see if he had any injuries, and he did. A bite mark could clearly be seen on his forearm. Curie, Michelle, and Devon were in need of getting all their teeth cast to line up with the mark on Brandon's arm. However, in order to do this testing, Devon's body had to be exhumed. Devon's teeth were cast and scanned into a computer, and doctors used an overlay technique. It kind of sounded like Ray Crone, huh? But anyway, they use this overlay technique to superimpose a computer-generated image of Devon's teeth over the scaled photograph of Brandon's arm bite. Devon's tooth outline and bite marks were both identical. This was no Ray Crone. I mean, this was legit, the real deal. Look, yeah. So this, however, was only proof that Devon bit him. I mean, nobody said that he killed her. They just said that she bit him. So as they were processing this data, they searched Michelle's car. Michelle's automobile was in police custody. Brendan's blood-stained clothes were in the trunk. Again, why? Tests came back conclusively identifying the blood as Devon's. The police also discovered that the wedding rings that Michelle and Devon had purchased were at Michelle's mother's home. Keys from Michelle's old job at her former employer, a doctor's office, imagine that, where she had access to syringes, was also located at Michelle's mother's home. It's not looking good for Michelle or Brandon at this point. Michelle Hetzel and Brandon Bloss were arrested and charged with first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder on August 13th, 2000. They were both released on bond the following day. And first-degree murder with a bond, I mean, that's crazy odd. But anyway, the prosecution concluded that Devon's murder was absolutely motivated by jealousy and rage. Brandon was blinded by his anger about Michelle and Devon's relationship, since Devon was still with Curie, and Michelle was jealous over Devon's connection with Curie. So, I mean, we had two different people with two totally different motives, but the motives were the same. They wanted Devon dead. As more facts came out during the trial, though, it was found that Michelle had actually previously made a bid to hire a hitman to kill Devon. But then you go and exchange rings. I don't understand these people. It was a man who would serve alcohol to minors at his house. Winner. Of course, Michelle had offered the man sex and money to kill Devon, and, well, obviously it didn't happen. So Michelle and Brandon both pointed fingers at each other as the person who actually killed Devon. But the actual truth has never been revealed. As a result of their convictions, both Michelle and Brandon were given life sentences for their respective roles in the deaths of their victim. This case was solved thanks to Devon. I mean, it was her imprints on her teeth eventually that solved this case, thank God. But, you know, I mean, despite her best efforts, she was still taken down, and that sucks. I mean, because Devon cared about Michelle, and I mean, it's heartbreaking that Michelle killed her knowing how deeply Devon loved her. And Curie, yeah, I mean, their relationship was volatile, but damn, she didn't do anything to deserve being looped in a homicide investigation, nor losing her partner. I mean, that had to be awful. Oh. Well, that is it for this case. I hope you enjoyed it. It's a little bit shorter than normal, but hey, whatever. I tried to look and see whatever happened to Curie because I just couldn't find a lot about her. She had done a few shows and whatnot, but not a lot on how she's doing personally, which was what I was wondering. I mean, I don't know if she ever got married or if she, you know, settled down or if she's living, or if she's just happy, you know. But as for Michelle and Brandon, I hope they're enjoying prison. They deserve every single day that they got handed to them. And, well, we know what I would have rather had them do.
Electric chair.
But anyway, that's it. Like I said, so I will see you guys in the next video. And until I do, y'all try not to murder anybody. I'll see y'all later.